All right, welcome to Inside the Gaming Lounge here at That Nerd Show. That's right, it is time for our Game of the Year show. We finally made it to the end of 2020. It's actually 2021 now, thank God. And despite kind of a lackluster year in games, we are still doing a Game of the Year show because we have a great top 10 games that we picked, that we voted on for last year. So I'm Marcus Blake, your host. Joined with me, as usual, is our squad leader, Mr. K. Scott Cooper.
What's the haps, Caps?
And we have Mr. Chad Womack with us, Darth Purple.
Morning, folks. I wouldn't so much call it a lackluster year in games, just a lackluster year.
Yeah, that's true. And joining us for the very first time, new member of the team, Miss Beth Currier, who this is your first Game of the Year show with us. So you get to debate with us, and we're going to tell you how we placed our games and what was voted on. So we're going to start with our number 10 spot right off the bat, and you're just going to have to stay tuned to find out what we picked as Game of the Year. Now, the only spoiler I'm going to give you is, no, we did not pick The Last of Us as Game of the Year. I'm sorry, but the Game Awards got it wrong, as usual. So there you go.
Is that really a spoiler?
I appreciate the Game Awards, but to me, I have to say this, and correct me tell me if I'm wrong. It's like a popularity contest. It's like you're voting on, the king and queen of the prom, like who the cool kids. All the cool kids are playing these games, and it's not really about the gaming. That's just me personally. Yeah. So
welcome to prom with status doesn't matter, bitches.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have some really fun games that we threw in our top 10 list, and some honorable mentions. We've been doing some end of the year gaming reviews, some editorials talking about our favorite games. We've all played different kinds of games, but like a good example, our writer Chloe James, who doesn't really do a whole lot of gaming with That Nerd Show, but does gaming on the side, wanted to write a review over the Hades game, which has been on the Switch game this year, which she absolutely loved. Also, if we do have a younger audience out there, since we're all, older people.
Crotchety.
Very true. We'd like to acknowledge our young gamers out there, our teenagers who play a variety of different games, but also have games that do cross over. So I want to direct everybody to our website. Go read the article, Top 5 Multiplayer Games for Young Gamers by one of our new writers, Aiden Costa, who is the son of one of our senior writers, Allison Costa. And he offered a very interesting perspective about what kids his age do in gaming. And while obviously Fortnite was on his list, and we don't really care much about Fortnite, I thought there was there were two choices that were very, or at least one choice that was very interesting. Rocket League is one of those games that is very cross-generational. It doesn't matter how old you are, everybody seems to love Rocket League. So, or Minecraft. And I know, Scott, you on your top 10 list talked about Minecraft Dungeons as one of the better games this year. And believe it or not, as crotchety as you are, as you get older, there are young people that agree with you on that, which is kind of scary. Or
Damn.
your influence is, well, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you have more influence over the younger generations than you probably thought, which is also kind of, no, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. We can't poke fun of our squad leader on this show. Why are we having it? But anyway, but we're going to move right along, and we're going to talk. We're going to start with the number 10 spot that ended up as a tie, which we've never had at That Nerd Show before. So our number 10 games, plural, that's right, is the Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales game and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And we all kind of voted a little bit differently, so I will just quickly mention, in regards to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because I think I'm the only one who has really played it this year, I was telling Scott the other day that my first impression was it's like Assassin's Creed decided they wanted to be an Elder Scrolls game and also be God of War 4 with Vikings. That they wanted to get into that genre because everybody else has done it when it comes to an RPG game. Why not Assassin's Creed? Just all the other time periods in history that they could have gone to. They had to pick that one. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I did write an editorial on it and gave it a grade of 7. It's okay. And if you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, you'll probably like it because it's all the same mechanics and very familiar. But it's just one of those games. It's like, really, we had to pick that time period. How many medieval RPGs have we played? You know, and are Vikings really that interesting? So, another thing too is, yeah, I know. I kept, as I played this game, I was like, I kind of want to start the Viking campaign over on For Honor. So, but anyway, it did end up in our top 10 list based on how we voted. It was not a contender for Game of the Year, but it is one of the better games of 2020, and maybe that's just another example of, you know, how kind of a lackluster year it really has been. So, in regards to the Miles Morales Spider-Man game, now, Chad, I know you voted on this too. This is a game that I don't know about anybody else, felt more like a DLC for the Spider-Man game that came out in 2018 instead of a game all on its own. Beautiful graphics. I mean, if you love the Spider-Man game that came out a couple of years ago, you'll definitely like this one. But it's also, why did it have to be its own separate game? And the campaign wasn't really that long. So, I don't know. Chad, you, like I said, you were one of the ones that voted on it. Did you have any feelings about this Spider-Man game?
Well, it's rare for a game of that magnitude to, like you said, it almost feels like an attaboy that they gave us for hanging in there, and maybe could have been DLC. But by the same token, it kind of became a system seller for the PS5. It became one of the reasons why I was seeing people saying, I'm going to get this PS5 if for no other reason, just so I could play the new Spider-Man on it. And yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe they could have put out, I mean, I know they did the first Spider-Man on the PS5, or at least with enhanced graphics or whatever. But I know that they were kind of hedging their bets on, should this be a launch title? And when they saw the enthusiasm for it, it kind of seemed like a natural progression. It was a no-brainer. Now, granted, I didn't play it on the PS5, but you know, I love what Sony is doing with that property.
Right.
It seems to be the only Marvel property that's being handled effectively in the video game world. You know, we saw what they attempted to do
about the Marvel Avengers game.
we saw what they tried to do. They couldn't stick the landing. There was no superhero landing on Avengers. Sorry, but right. The something about just everything just kind of seems to come together when they work on a Spider-Man game and all cylinders are firing. And all cylinders were firing on Miles Morales. People have been screaming for a game that featured Miles Morales as your central protagonist. I think that alone is, I think, one of the other reasons why they felt like it deserved its own game, because Miles is his own character. He's not just an add-on.
I will give you that. I'm not knocking the fact that they made a Miles Morales Spider-Man game. Absolutely. And the fact that you get to play with him and Peter Parker, I mean, it is a good game. That's not what we're saying at all. Yeah. It's just, you released this game that's $60 or $70. Actually, that is the retail price, but they've offered a lot of sales on the game. And it is one of the ones that I got with the studio PlayStation 5 from Target with, you know, their deal of buying 2 games and getting 1 free. It's fun. If you like that first Spider-Man game, you're definitely going to like this one. But again, it comes back to, you don't have this huge campaign. And then part of that disc was, well, you can get the other Spider-Man game too, if you've never played it. And you can get it for the PS5. And I'm like, well, that's cool. But if you're not going to give us this huge campaign with Miles Morales, then is that more in tune with, shouldn't it just be DLC for the Spider-Man game? So,
Question.
yeah.
So, and this is kind of a question for both you, Marcus, and Chad, in being with people who bought the PS5 just so that they could play this Miles Morales game, would most of them say that it was worth it? Like, it was overall, yeah, I hedged my bets and I won? Or is the general review kind of the way Marcus is going, of going, yeah, but so?
Everybody that I've talked to has loved the game. I mean, it's from I don't know about critics per se, but I mean,
I don't
fans
talk about
playing
critics.
it.
I'm asking
Yeah,
like fan
fans
bases.
playing the game. Everybody that I know that got a PS5, it was one of their, it was the one game they wanted to get and have enjoyed it. But again, that other complaint is it's a very short campaign compared to the Spider-Man game of 2018. Okay. Because that one is huge open world. Then they dropped DLC. I mean, you can easily put 100 hours into that game.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
this campaign is, you can be done in less than 10 hours. And I just, so, you know, when we talk about value in gaming, it's great that they had it for the PS5. Okay. That they made it ready. But my, I guess what I come down to is, if you were just trying to make a Spider-Man game for the PS5, okay, why market this game solely as it's its own thing when part of the disc has the other Spider-Man game with enhanced graphics? To me, that's an update that you could have just dropped for people who had a PS5, kind of like what EA did with a couple of their titles, where they did that with Madden and FIFA. If you've got a new console, there was a huge update where it allowed you to, you know, enhance the graphics and the capabilities a lot more to make it ready for the new console.
No, this is.
I think it's probably because it's probably easier to market, as far as from market strategy, as that being the focal point. It's easier to market a game as a standalone new product for a brand new console than as an add-on for an old game that predates the new console that you're pushing.
Right, and you're right.
Maybe that was the logic there.
And you're right about that. I mean, it's from a marketing standpoint, yes. Okay.
Cool. Well,
so you have to have that.
There's more to come with the game, and that they're going to just drop some DLC or something for it to give it more content later on. So.
Well, and I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they are really trying to delve into the Spider-Verse, you know, with Miles Morales and everything else. So, and that's great. But I mean, again, I'm not going to completely knock the Avengers game that they released earlier in the year. It wasn't worth $60. But you know, it was fun. I enjoyed it for what it was. And that's why I put it at number 10, because I'm like, as a superhero game, I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, I put both of them in there compared to other things. Although I do kind of feel ashamed. I'm like, other people voted on Streets of Rage 4, and I'm like, you know what? I really probably should have put that in there as a classic gamer. But anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. All right, but those are our two titles that tied for number 10 that did make our list. Yeah, every game that we are recommending in our top 10 list are games that gamers should play. But some of them, you know, don't run out and buy it at full price. You can wait for a good sale. They've had some really good sales through the holidays. So there you go. All right, number 9. What ended up number 9 for us was the Final Fantasy remake, or Final Fantasy VII remake. For fans of the Final Fantasy series, you know, we're hitting this point in gaming where we're not just necessarily remastering games, but we're remaking them and offering you a different perspective on the storyline. And I think they've proven that they can definitely do that, and especially for the new consoles, and fans are going to love it. Resident Evil 2 last year was one of those games that, you know, while feeling familiar, also felt like a new game. and it was one of the big hits of 2019, and it ended up in our top 10 list. So, same thing with Resident Evil 3, but Final Fantasy 7, and it is gorgeous. If you are a Final Fantasy fan, this was one of the best games in the series. I've played both versions. I've tried. I went back and tried the first one. It was like, okay, great. I understand why people loved it back in the day. But this one was great. And then I got the PS5 and the graphics got even more enhanced and gameplay. It was like, okay, I definitely understand why people put hours in Final Fantasy. So now, I know Scott doesn't get into Final Fantasy games. Chad, have you ever gotten into any of them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Final Fantasy VII is what got me into Final Fantasy.
It's the only
I
one
just
I've ever
haven't gotten
really
around to
played.
picking this one up. I wish I did have it. I want the sucker because I got the remasters of Final Fantasy X and X2 on the PS3. I'm a big fan of Kingdom Hearts. I mean, Final Fantasy VII was kind of like everybody's gateway drug to getting into Final Fantasy.
Right. Yeah.
For this generation.
Yeah. Beth, how about you? You have you played Final Fantasy games?
No, I don't even know what they're about.
Shit.
That's like, I just look like an anime girl.
Let's give her a hint. It's got nothing to do with that movie with Ming Na Wen and freaking Donald Sutherland from back in the day. Avoid that shit.
Wow. Anyway, fair enough. Yeah, I don't really know what they're about. I just, because I've never been a huge anime guy myself, but I've played them and I'm like, this is just a hack and slash game with really cool characters. In fact, the first one I put some serious hours into was Final Fantasy 15 4 years ago because it came out and I was like, I need to understand more about this game because because of our coverage on games. So, but there you have it. But like Chad said, if you're interested, maybe this is your gateway drug into Final Fantasy. So, anyway, sorry everybody.
Water, not coffee. Water, not coffee.
I know. There is not whiskey in this coffee.
Sure, it's not.
There really isn't.
Yet.
Yes.
And you call yourself Irish.
Number 8 on our list. Like I said, we had some very interesting games and stuff. But number 8, yes, we put Streets of Rage 4. They finally gave us a new Streets of Rage game. And the reason it ends up in our top 10 list is, and I was talking about this in the article for our Game of the Year, I love the fact that they didn't try to make this game into some 3D RPG or beat 'em up game. They kept the 2D side scrolling, but they just enhanced the graphics. It's the same style, everything that we've always enjoyed about Streets of Rage. It just looks good on a new console. And
my only complaint is that you can't play with your friends.
Yeah,
that's my only fucking complaint about the game.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. Of all the things that you could have done a squad-based game with Streets of Rage. I'm just saying, we probably wouldn't be doing this show. We would be, fighting big bosses.
We'd be playing it right now.
Yeah, we would be playing it right now. Yeah, no, exactly. Do the backflip. Kick flip that bitch. Kick flip that bitch.
And by the way, just, we like metaphors and little clues. In case you didn't know, yes, in the background there is the first Streets of Rage game. So little hint that we were going to talk about this game. One of the big coups too is, it wasn't very much money. I think at retail it was 40 when it started, but it also ended up on Game Pass pretty quick. So I mean, Game Pass again is scoring left and right with really great games, and we don't know if the rumor is true, but kind of hoping. It looks like Game Pass might take over the Ubisoft catalog. So that would be pretty interesting.
Wait, what? No, go back.
That's what's out there right now. Like I said, it hasn't absolutely been confirmed. It's just kind of a rumor, but it looks like Microsoft might be doing some, deals here and there to acquire their catalog for Game Pass. Let's just hope that's true, because that would be awesome.
I'm also curious to see once the merger of Bethesda and Microsoft is completed to what Bethesda games are going to be put onto Game Pass. Because a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, well, Fallout and Skyrim. Nah, dinguses, Bethesda's been out for a long fucking time.
Yeah,
And
there's more to them than that.
And they've got rights to all kinds of games like, Killing Floor and all kinds of other stuff like that are really great games. And I would be very interested to see where they come back and go with them.
Right. So I made this comment in the article that one of the reasons we love Streets of Rage is, for old school gamers, you discovered it in the arcade. It was always one of the better titles for Sega. And if you've ever bought a Sega Genesis flashback with 90 or 40 games on the hard drive, what's generally the first game you play? Yeah, you generally go. So, now, Beth, Streets of Rage, I know you're not a Final Fantasy girl, but you can get down with some Streets of Rage, can't you?
Never played it. I know that's reaction. I've never done this. I'm just gonna go along with you to save face.
You know what? I know this has the couch option. Yeah, couch multiplayer in the same room. I think the squad leader is going to have to take you under the wing. We're going to have to live stream. You're going to have to do it.
I was about to say once she gets back and COVID cleared and everything else like that, we'll do a little what I like to call bowling battle, and then it'll be good.
Exactly.
I mean, the name sounds right up my alley, so.
So, kind of funny about Streets of Rage 4, one of the games that came out this year, obviously didn't make our top 10 list, but I bought it, was they made a Cobra Kai game based off the hit series that's on YouTube. And
Whoa, wait. Newsflash. I just fired up Streets of Rage 4 on my Switch while we were talking. There is now a menu option that says join online games.
Okay, we're going to look into that after this show. We're going to look into that. Anyway,
I'm speechless right now. I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying not to cry.
We'll look into that and let everybody know. But anyway, they released a Cobra Kai game earlier this year, and it was literally just pure nostalgia. If you like the series, Karate Kid movies, then you get to play from two perspectives, either Miyagi-Do Karate or Cobra Kai. And they had all the actors, voice the characters. So when they were deciding on making a Cobra Kai game, they did it exactly in the same fashion as Streets of Rage. Because if there's a template for a beat 'em up karate martial arts really cool game with characters you love, you might as well go with Streets of Rage. There's no better template. Just saying. I bought Cobra Kai because I was interested. Not saying it's a great game. Again, it's mostly nostalgia than anything else. But it was a lot of fun for the price. And again, it made me wish I was back in an arcade playing Streets of Rage with friends. But anyway. But that's why it ended up in our top 10 list at number 8. And yes, you can, listeners out there, you can rest assured we're going to train Beth up on this game. All right, number 7 on our list is another sequel in a very historical and storied franchise that we've loved since the early 90s. Doom Eternal ended up in our top 10 list. And for you Doom fans out there that have been playing since the first game came out on PC, also, by the way, fun fact, yes, it was the first networked game, first-person shooter that you could have that basically started the whole landline craze of gaming. But anyway, I feel like we just wouldn't really be good gamers if we didn't include this in our top 10 list, because I feel like this is kind of the best game that we've gotten out of the Doom franchise for next generation consoles. Not taking away from any of the older games that we loved and played on the PC, which you can buy for a few bucks, through emulators or whatever, or play them, on your Xbox or PlayStation, and they are still fun. But ever since they decided to come back to this franchise a few years ago, all the blood and gore and just all-out chaos of a first-person shooter killing zombie-like demons or whatever, and being a slayer, this game is just phenomenal. It also ended up being our shooter of the year, because when it came to a first-person shooter, I'm sorry, Doom always wins over Call of Duty.
Got a point. Got a point.
I know. I especially when you're trying to regurgitate some kind of crap or reimagine one of your older titles because you can't come up with a new story in the Call of Duty franchise.
Pretty much.
But that's a whole another conversation. So anyway, Chad, what did you love about this game? I know you were the most excited, being the Doom fanboy.
Well, it's kind of hard not to be a Doom fanboy when you were born, raised, and graduated high school in the town where the Doom franchise itself was born and raised.
Yes.
Given that Mesquite, Texas, is the wellspring that id Software grew from, and if you need any confirmation, just go back and play the old Wolfenstein from a couple of years ago, where Blazkowicz goes to talk to his dad, and his hometown is Mesquite, Texas, which is my hometown, my wife's hometown.
You get it, Chad.
It's kind of hard coded into my DNA. Doom was released the exact same month and year that my daughter was born. So I just have this karmic connection to Doom. I always have. And seeing where they've taken this franchise, they've taken it in directions I never thought it would go in, and didn't think that. I was kind of worried when I saw the first trailer for Eternal. I'm thinking, where are they taking my Doom, and why are we going in this direction? And then when I played it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's why. Because it's badass. That's why they went in that direction. I love the fact that they continue to treat Doom with so much care, given the age of that franchise, given that it's pushing a 30-year-old franchise. Yeah, I said it. A 30-year-old franchise. And it still can make top 10 lists, not just from us, but from the gaming press at large. From mainstream gaming press, it got nothing but unanimous love across the board. So if they're doing anything right, because obviously id and Bethesda can't really seem to keep their hands around the Fallout franchise. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? My internal monologue got away from me.
We're still having PSTD from that crappy Fallout 76
yeah.
Yeah.
They seem to always do their best to make sure that it is in good hands, and or that not it, but that Doom is in good hands, and it's still in good hands. Bravo to id and Bethesda for that.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I will say about this game is, I mean, it was gory back in the day. Okay, I'm ultra violent and stuff, obviously, but
I like the little gore pile that used to be left behind.
Yeah, I feel like you've got. I feel like you've got to keep up with that, and every time you have, great graphics, and you're able to make it even more gory, then that you have to make a new Doom game. And I was very impressed with the game a few years ago. I was like, I don't know if they can top themselves, and then they did with Doom Eternal.
They did.
Like,
yeah.
This is not for the faint of heart, and you definitely have to put a warning. Like, if you're sensitive to violence and things going all over the place, if you might have seizures, then you shouldn't be playing this game. But I love how it keeps getting challenging too. I mean, it's just like we laugh when we play some of our favorite multiplayer games. Like, some days the server just wants to fuck us. I feel like Doom is that way. It's like, well, you're getting through this level, but just wait till what's around the corner. We're going to have like literally everything just descend upon you at the same time. And, as you're running out of ammo and you're trying to run just to survive to find an ammo case,
You take a peek around a corner and you see whips, chains, and bondage gear, and you're like, "Oh shit, that's what's waiting for me."
I do wish that the multiplayer modes were a little bit better, but again, getting online with people and playing this game is still one of the staples of Doom. The battle modes, just trying to survive, an all-out onslaught, are also great as well. But it's just for carnage and that kind of thing. It's just a fantastic series, and they keep getting better with it. So I really hope they keep adding more. And like Chad said, treating this franchise with such care and love. But it definitely ended up in our top 10 list, and it definitely became our shooter of the year because there just wasn't anything compared to it. That we've played here in 2020. So. And yes, I'm going to make another snide comment. For all of you that are all about the latest Call of Duty game, I'm sorry, but no, I played it. I'd rather play Doom. So there you go. I don't care if you have a really cool CGI Ronald Reagan. I had a friend that's
Do you get
just
to
like,
shoot him? Do you get to shoot him?
No, you don't. He just
Then I
sits
don't
there
fucking
and
care. Then I don't fucking care.
Right.
You don't get to be Hinkley, no.
Yeah. Just I had someone tell me, it's like, I can't wait to play this game where you get to sit in the room with Ronald Reagan. I'm like, why? He wasn't even that good for president. But anyway, we're not talking about that. But
That's your takeaway? You get to play with Ronald Reagan? Wow.
yeah, you've completely missed the point. Hey, Activision, how about you actually give us a sequel to Ghosts and not leave us hanging on that title?
Yeah. Yeah, you sons of bitches. The one good thing you fucking make in 20 years and you just fucking forget about it.
Now, I won't completely talk bad about Activision. They did give us a remastered Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, which was fabulous. And it's a good time to go ahead and mention it. It's a good time to go ahead and mention that ended up being our sports game of the year, because all the other titles that were released didn't really have any changes from last year's editions. There wasn't any new engines they were using. Madden was pretty much the same, although they screwed up the controls on that and trying to make you do more stick control when rushing the passer and crap like that. It was more aggravating than anything else. But yeah, in NBA 2K, you made the same game from last year, but you just fixed the jerky defense that could have been fixed with an update. So I really look at all the sports games that came out in 2020, and I'm like, no significant improvements. Then why pay full retail price for it when you could give us a remastered game that we have all loved and lead us into or get us ready for the next Tony Hawk game, the new Tony Hawk game that you will be releasing. And Tony, whether you're a skateboard fan or not, those are just fun games to play. And it just looked phenomenal on the new consoles. It was definitely a game that needed to be remastered. So yeah, that's why we said it's our sports game of the year.
I remember having fond memories of playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater with my little brother, and and I haven't played the remasters or anything else like that. So maybe that's something else we do is Beth would come over and we do a little bit of skate and smoke or something.
I played the originals of that game too, and I remember finding the cheat codes of maximum blood, and then you're just like,
You can be Spider-Man. You can be Spider-Man.
Darth Maul as a freaking skater. Hell yes.
True gamer right there.
how high can I go and then fall back to the ground? Very fun.
I'm not playing a skateboard game unless I see heads flying off and.
Or you get to run over a fat security guard and just keep clunging his body along like it's a fat sack of shit lard.
Right.
Nose grind on
number
his
6.
nose. Nose grind on his nose.
Nice. Number 6 on our list, another remake that came out in 2020. Resident Evil 3. Of course, this was going to end up on our top 10 list because as successful as Resident Evil 2 was, here's another great title from that franchise that not just was remastered, but was remade and gave you a different take on the storyline. And while I am not personally a huge fan of, like a huge fan of horror survival games, I mean, I do like them. I feel myself loving the Resident Evil series more and more because of what they are doing and making the gameplay better for the next generation consoles. So this was definitely one of the better games of 2020. Now, I don't know who all played it or got a copy of it. Chad, I know you got a copy of it because you're a huge fan of this series.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, Scott, did you play it at all?
I did not get a chance to. I couldn't get a copy, money reasons. But essentially, I watched a lot of gameplay on YouTube through it and everything else, and it looks awesome. I mean, for me, Resident Evil was one of those games that I remember being in like middle school and early high school and like going over to my friend's house on the weekends, and we all crowded around, the TV screen with all the lights off with just pizzas and sugar and fucking sodas and just glued to the fucking screen. And we were just like, all right, we're going to put it on hard. We're going to scare the fuck out of each other. Let's do this. So, for me, that's like when I do, get a copy of it, that's what I want to do is I have a copy of 2, I think, somewhere, and I want to go and I want to get a group of friends together, and I just want to like, get a bunch of beers and a bunch of pizza and a bunch of sugar and just smoke a bunch and then just us play that shit and be like, no, look out! Ah! Okay, someone else play it. I'm a heart's erratic. My heart's erratic.
How about you, Ben? Are you a fan of this series?
I have never played any of them.
Uh-oh.
All right. Looks like there's just gonna be a new web series of me and Beth doing shit together. Oh,
I related to the Doom one because I played that original game growing up, but I've never tried a Resident Evil game.
Yeah,
Well,
we just need to start a new series. Shits Beth's never played.
Well, we're gonna have to take care of that. So, and the Resident Evil, the Resident Evil 2 game is a good one to start with too.
Yes.
But Resident Evil 3 too is another good one. So anyway, and also we should mention too earlier that when we were talking about Doom Eternal, it is actually on Xbox Game Pass right now. So if you've not had a chance to play it, you can download it.
You do not have an excuse.
Right. So Resident Evil 3, great with what they did. Just phenomenal. And I got to tell you, I actually enjoyed. I'd rather play this one trying to sneak around zombies who might kill you than The Last of Us Part 2. I hate to say that, but anyway.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Back to your roots.
All right. Number 5 is another sequel regarding a PlayStation exclusive. It was just a fun game that got released this year and turned out to be better than, well, most of the other things that did get released. That really, at the end of the day, were just kind of smart. But what we are talking about is Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. Crash Bandicoot games are just fun. And I feel like these are kind of another cross-generational type of game that even if you're an adult and you played the original on PlayStation, developed by Naughty Dog, and it gives you that sense of old time games, just trying to run a maze and get points. And the fact that they keep making games like this with better graphics and making it a little bit harder, kind of like what they did with Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. I was playing with my nephew, not this particular game, but the one previous, and telling him who Crash Bandicoot was. And, of course, I got him a copy, and him and his dad kind of ran through it. But the fact that they keep making games like this, even though they may be more geared for kids, there's a kid in each one of us if you're a gamer. So it really was
for everyone.
Yeah. I got to tell you, if you tell me you hate this game, you're like a person who hates dogs or just doesn't have a soul. Or
Yeah, I was
I
about
just,
to say. I mean, like, you or either that or you're just too young,
yeah,
and you don't understand,
Or
And
you're
if
dead
that's the
inside.
case,
You're just dead inside.
yeah,
right.
I mean, if that's the case, then you need to find somebody that can help you and discover the hot wonderment that is Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. For people that say these games are bad, I think there should be a hotline for you, much like the suicide hotline, because there's some issues there that you need to work out.
You
So,
have
and
you have black
and
eyes, like a doll's eyes, like the devil's
right.
eyes.
But again, and like Streets of Rage 4, we have to talk about this game. It's fantastic that
Yes.
they released it. And here's my favorite thing about Crash Bandicoot, especially with Naughty Dog. When they did Uncharted 4 a few years ago, I love the fact that they had a whole little segment in the beginning of the game where they're playing Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 1 in the game. A game within a game. That was awesome.
Gameception.
All right. Now, number 4 on our list is probably the most popular game on the Nintendo Switch this year. I'm actually going to hand this over to Chad a little bit because you've played it more than anyone of us.
The only one.
Yeah, I will have to, keep the time short, but we are talking about Animal Crossing, or Animal Crossing New Horizons.
New
And
Horizons.
Chad, what is it about this game? I freely admit, I don't understand the fascination behind it. It's not really a game for me, but I love the enthusiasm that people have for stuff like this and everybody talking about it. And, especially during a pandemic, I've had more people tell me, well, I'd rather just be on my Switch in Animal Crossing with friends. I'm like, and I kind of get that because some of these worlds here are much better than the world that we're actually living. So, but Chad, what is it about this game and why does it deserve to be in our top 10 list?
It's the reason I bought the Switch in the first place, because I knew it was coming. I've been a fan of this franchise since it launched. It was originally supposed to be a game that was launched on the Nintendo 64, and then the GameCube went into development, so they just kind of switched development over to that. And the moment I heard about it, I was way into The Sims at the time, and I had a little one. My kid was 6 going on 7, and she had a fascination with watching me play The Sims on the PC. And something about just world building has always kind of fascinated me. I never really got into Sim City, but The Sims seemed more interesting to me because you got to see people's personalities evolve. I've often thought that whenever people take a psychology course, they should play games like this, so you see social interaction for people that are too scared to leave the house. But in a year where people literally were too scared to leave their house, you could not have picked a better time to release this game. It literally launched the week that everybody went into shutdown, at least locally. Whenever everything went into the lockdown in the Dallas area, was the Friday that Animal Crossing New Horizons came out. And there has not been a day that has gone by since this game came out that I haven't played it. And to me, if that doesn't qualify you for favorite game of the year, I don't know what does. I mean, there's always something new to discover in this game. There's always something new to add to your house that you're building. You can terraform the island and craft it to look however you want it to look. There's hundreds of neighbors that will come and visit. Like, you build a little village where they all live in. Some want to move on to other places, and then others will visit this little campsite that you pick up, and you can ask them to stay, and they bring their own unique little set of skills and personalities to the island. There's so much to do. There's so much to craft. There's so much to discover. It's pure gaming joy, unrefined. It's like, mainlining caffeine straight into your bloodstream through an IV rather than drinking coffee. There really I can't find anything negative to say about Animal Crossing as a franchise, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. The online capability is so cool to where you can have people that have copies of this game to come visit your island. You can go visit theirs. There's genuine interaction. It's more than just hey, there's a guy around the corner that you and I need to team up on, and you cut his throat while I shoot his friend in the head. This
What?
is look what I
So
did.
there is violence in this game.
No, there's not. Well,
Okay.
you can hit him
So
in the
when
head
you
with
say
a
let's go
butterfly
visit
net.
his island, I'm like, are we taking the guy out? Did he
No.
steal a woman?
No, you see the island environment that he's created. People have themed
Right.
their islands to different themes and stuff. It's remarkable what you can do with this game. It will anytime an Animal Crossing game comes out, it's probably already going to be my game of the year, no matter how good or bad it is, because it like when you buy pizza, even when it's not great pizza, it's still pizza.
Yeah.
And
True.
that's how I view Animal Crossing games. Even if they're not the best Animal Crossing game, it's still Animal Crossing. And this is the best one they've ever done by a long shot.
I agree that the timing of this game was good in regards to during a pandemic. It sounded like it came out just at the right time. And I mean, this was definitely the year to get into video games or rediscover old games when you couldn't go out. I mean, normally I'm not at home on a Friday night gaming. I've always had my routine and stuff. I'm at the pub listening to Irish music or whatever. But, I found myself more and more getting back into things this year. So, but I just had more and more people talk about how this game was kind of a lifesaver of things to do and stuff. So I admit I've never truly played. I'm curious. But then again, I'm also like, I don't know if I have the time to get sucked into this game.
That's the other beauty of this game is that you don't have to invest a ton of time in it. You can play it as little or as much as you want to. The fact that it uses a real-time clock, like we still have Christmas lights up in the town that get put up automatically. You don't do that. The people that run the town decorate the town. You can decorate your house, but they do that for you.
The problem is, Chad, I've said that about Assassin's Creed. I can play that for as little, time as I want or as much as I want, and I end up at least putting 2 hours into it. I got distracted last night. I did that. I loaded up Odyssey because I never quite finished the game as I was preparing the Xbox, and they had a deluxe edition on sale, and I was just like, oh, where am I in this game? What did I do? What can I do? Because those are games that I can always go back and play and do little missions here and there and explore the world. And then it was like 2 hours later, like, holy shit, But anyway, but yeah, it does. Animal Crossing was definitely one of the most popular games, the best games of the year, and definitely deserved to be in our top list. And it was the highest rated Nintendo Switch game for 2020. So anyway. All right, number 3. This is the one that Beth and I get to talk about, and we are talking about Cyberpunk 2077. And by the way, I'm going to need to talk to your brother because if he's unlocking weapons for you, let's share the love here. So, this game got a lot of flack, and I wrote an article about it and talked about where this flack was really coming from. So Beth and I are playing it on 2 different kinds of consoles. You have an older generation Xbox, and I have the Xbox Series X. But we wanted to actually talk about the gameplay itself, the world that's within this game. Because it's a futuristic open world. Beth, despite controversy, the hours that you put into, do you like this game? You've had fun with this game, right?
I mean, I'm personally enjoying it. The only super frustrating part is like right when it got released, it crashed a lot. It has been a lot better since they've thrown 30 to 40 gigs of updates into it.
Yeah.
It still can, like my brother is playing on the PC, and he told me a couple days ago, he texted me and he was like, my game crashed for the first time. And I responded with laughs in Xbox One. So, but the gameplay is pretty fun because I can just because there's just like always things to do.
Yeah.
Constantly always things to do. And so I can pop on there for like an hour and just run around and just like do a bunch of little of the like crime in progress things,
Yeah.
and then jump back out.
You need to upgrade your weapons. You'll go take down some gangs and steal their weapons or whatever. And I've done that if I only had like an hour and didn't really have time to do part of the bigger story. I love the world. I mean, I feel like I'm in Blade Runner. I really do. And I'm still kind of getting used to the whole Keanu Reeves, I'm your conscious thing, having conversations with you, because every time I see him, I'm like, am I just going to get to be you and John Wick and go apeshit on anybody at any time in this game? Because that would be awesome. But
That depends on how you play the ending.
I know. I know. And we won't spoil it, because I in conversation now, I've talked a lot with Scott about this. I feel like this is just a game that shouldn't have gotten released this year. It wasn't ready to really be released.
No.
And I hope that all that it shouldn't, and it probably really shouldn't be on an older console. I think to really get the full effects of it, you have to be on an Xbox Series X or a PC, or at least an Xbox S or One X. But if you have a first generation Xbox, don't get this game. It's just, you're not going to enjoy it. It's not going to be ready for that older of a system, or you're going to face crashes, and there's going to be tons of updates. And but if you have a 4K TV or 8K, I mean, it looks phenomenal. It's just, I kind of feel like this game should have just gone out like next summer, when they had fixed a lot of these issues, more people had new consoles or moved over to PC Gamer or whatever, and it wouldn't have been as controversial, because I think it takes away from how great of an open world this really is. The side missions are great. Your character is not necessarily good, but kind of good. And, there's this overall theme of kind of taking down an evil corporation. And there's just so much stuff that you, like you said, you can do in it.
Can we just talk about the clothes for a second? Because you can have great armor, but at what cost? Because holy shit, my character looks so bad all the time. I'm just like, what are these colors? Like, if you could maybe change the colors, but it's just like, oh my god, I'm so glad I can't see my character and it's me in person, because
I will make two comments on that. Do you remember the first time you saw Back to the Future 2, and they imagined what 2015 would look like with ridiculous futuristic clothes? I think they took those concepts and put it in this game, because I've got this weird like neon green shoes and leather pants and whatever. I felt like I was dressing myself in Back to the Future 2. On one hand, it's kind of cool, and on the other hand, it's like you just look ridiculous and like you said, the armor. The other problem is, while I agree that it should be realistic and you immerse yourself in a game, I don't have time to worry about whether I've put my clothes on every time I go back to my apartment to sleep.
they just take it off. I'm like, what?
They automatically take it off, and you have to remember, oh, I have to put clothes on to go out and do a mission. And I always forget that. And I have walked out so many times not wearing pants. And I looked at it, I'm wearing my boxers, like, oh. And when I don't get to do missions unless I'm wearing pants. So it just seems tedious. You've gotten up in a game, you got to remember to put your clothes back on and dress yourself. And I'm like, can we just automatically do that? But anyway.
That's a little too real world for me, yeah.
Right. But the world is, I mean, it's gritty, it feels dirty, it's, again, you don't, everybody competing with each other. It's just all the little things that you could do with it. Everything that we've loved about open world games, but you've put this into, again, a world that feels like Blade Runner. That it feels like what the world would end up being in 50 years. And
I know they won't do it, but I think it would be so much fun if this game had multiplayer, because like you and a couple friends could just cause some chaos in this world.
Well, and that's the other thing. They're supposed to have a multiplayer mode, squad-based mode, coming out next year.
I don't
Then I'll get it.
I feel
Then I'll
like
jump on. Yeah.
yeah,
Then I'll
that's
jump
the reason I feel like this game wasn't ready to be released, because if you didn't have that aspect at the very beginning, I mean, I get people want to do the campaign, but I'm like, if you didn't really care much for that, but you love the world and you can jump on with your friends, you're right. I totally want to do this as a squad and just go, stir up shit in Night City.
Just steal a gaggle of motorcycles and get wrecked.
Exactly.
Kind of like another game that's coming on this list. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But anyway, it ended up in our top 10 list this year because, again, despite any controversy, the gameplay and with the updates they gave from day one that it was released, we're not going to be distracted by its problems because every game has bugs. Okay. And this game did not have the same debacle that Fallout 76 had, where it was just an incomplete game and you were trying to pass this off as a Fallout game when it was just a big, giant piece of shit. That's not what Cyberpunk 2077 is. All we're saying, wait, get a better console to really feel the full effects of the graphics. And whenever they get around to doing multiplayer, maybe that is the time to get into it so you can explore the world with your friends. Like, as much fun as I have playing Division with Scott and Chad, and, we kick some ass in Division 2 and stuff, it's like, if we had that, if we could do that, especially all four of us, in Night City, fucking A. Give me that. There would not be much work getting done.
Oh, there would. Just it would be the Lord's work, and it would be in the game.
So, despite any issues, I personally gave this. It was like an 8 for me. It was good, not great, because some things were lacking, but I think they keep improving upon it, and they keep they're going to add more DLC to it over the years. And I think this game will end up being better than how it started. At least that's what I'm hoping. But it shouldn't be the absolute failure that some people are, criticizing it for, or strictly that the only way to enjoy this game is you have to play it on a PC. I just don't think that's true. Beth, how would you grade this game? Like I said, you're the only one out of you and me are pretty much the only ones playing it. But what would you give it?
Yeah, I'm up there with you, kind of like a 7 or an 8, because it is genuinely fun. Like, I have a fun time. The only time I get super angry is when it always happens when I try to crouch and then it goes and then I'm like, you're gonna fucking crash, aren't you? And then it does, and sometimes it doesn't, and I'm pleasantly surprised. But if they fixed the crashing,
Yeah,
I would probably rate it a little bit higher, because it is genuinely fun to play, and you can just kind of do whatever you want.
well,
I accidentally hit a pedestrian the other day with my car because I took a corner too tight. Then the police tried to arrest me, so I drove 211 miles down the freeway, and it was great.
yeah, I can't drive worth shit in this game.
The
So there's a lot of
motorcycles are a lot easier.
Yeah, I have noticed that, but I do love having chases with the cops. It's glorious. I mean, it's like that Grand Theft Auto aspect of it, like, because I feel like they just, when they started developing the game, they were like, we love Grand Theft Auto, but what if it was set in the future in like 80 years, like in a Blade Runner type world, where you hook into something, like you're in the Matrix or whatever. And that's another thing too, is because of all the hooking up and stuff, and Keanu Reeves is just killing. I'm like, you know what it is? I first thought to my first thought was, wait a minute, are we really not getting a Matrix 4 game? Is this, or movie? This is what it really is. This is what Matrix 4 is really going to be. So anyway, it's a better game than what some people have said, but I feel like most people will start to discover it more and more next year after numerous updates, and they add more to it, and people have better consoles. So but we still rate it pretty high here at that nerd show for the concept and what they did, and it's a fantastic concept. So we do at least praise CD Projekt for that. So, all right, moving along to our number 2 game. We're getting close to announcing our game of the year. This was a game that we all played, we all enjoyed, and it's also our multiplayer game of the year. The one that we voted on, but not a personal choice, which we'll talk about in a moment. Star Wars Squadrons. Despite issues that we've had with the game, we recognize that it wasn't absolutely perfect. We recognize the fact that sometimes the cross-platform, gives more advantages to PC players, and the server can kind of fuck you a little bit. But I've never had so much. Yeah. To be honest, a Star Wars flying game has never been so much fun since X-Wing versus TIE Fighter on the PC.
Yeah.
And I think EA finally listened to the fans, on top of trying to add everything to Star Wars Battlefront 2. And they finally realized their mistake of what they did with the first Battlefront game in 2015 by not giving us a whole game and then charging us full price for it. They gave us a complete game, even with a story campaign that may not be that long, but it had a campaign to it for just to fly, and they only charged us $40 for it. Star Wars Squadrons turned out to be one of the better games of this year.
And I got to give them credit, too, because of the fact that, just like, Jedi Fallen Order, it was a different take on a different group of people. And, I cannot be more happy about that than anything else. And, however, I am slightly disappointed with it because I kind of wanted it to be more like this gritty World War I-esque kind of style story where, you're kind of like the new guy, but then you start making friends, but it's like one by one, the squad slowly goes away, and but they didn't do that, which, I also kind of appreciate, but, you got what you paid for. You didn't like have this huge stopgap of going, oh yeah, no, this was $70 and what the fuck? No, it worked. It did.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back to play it since a couple of updates, but it's going to be one of those games that maybe I might check out here in the future and see what kind of changes.
As a squad game, we played the hell out of it for the first few weeks. We went on to other things, but it's not a game that it's not like we wouldn't go back to it. Okay. Yeah. Because some days you just need a Star Wars day where you hop in the cockpit of a TIE fighter or an X-Wing or whatever other ship. And
I love that it's first person. I love that it's first person in the cockpit, that you can't change that. I love that. I fucking love that.
I can't wait to add my wrinkle to this.
Go ahead, Chad.
Oh, go ahead.
One of the reasons it ranked so highly for me is because it was one of the only games on this list that I got copies of on multiple consoles for one reason and one reason only. Oh my God. Oh my God. I have never come that close to sheer childlike tears playing a game as the first time I put that thing on and fired up Squadrons. I almost passed out. I mean,
all right.
My heart stopped.
I'd give you credit. If I had one of those, I would probably put a hell of a lot more time in Squadrons.
Oh my God. I mean, literally, all you got to do is you don't just see the battlefield of space out in front of you. You see details of the cockpit by looking up and down. And it's mind blowing. It's incredible. It's the most.
That may give me the superior edge I've been looking for.
Yeah, I think it would. The fact that it's cross-platform play with the PS4, dude, we need a Squadron again.
Dude, I mean, I wish I had one of those and I could afford something like that. Well, justify affording something like that.
Right.
But no, you can play on the Xbox. I can play on this, and we can play together.
Well,
it's cross-platform play.
But
Yeah, so let's
I'm
do
just
that
saying,
sometime.
with one of those VR things, that would be neat because one of my complaints was, sometimes those guys get behind you and you don't know how to maneuver. And
Oh, you'll know how to
are you
maneuver.
able to look back a little bit better and see kind of what's going
Yes.
on? Oh, awesome.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
you see
I
your
will
wing.
admit,
You look
I
out this
wasn't
window,
really
you will see your
interested
wing.
in. I wasn't really interested in the VR aspects. Never have been. But this might get me over the edge. Like, how much
Yeah, I was
more of
gonna
that
say,
stimulus check
that
do I
would
still
get
have
me.
left?
Yeah, that would get me
Invest.
interested in doing something like that because I would be like, okay, hold on, PC player want to catch me? Bitch. Now I'm really gonna fly through this fucking
All right,
tunnel and you can't
I'm just going to throw it out there. Damn it! Somebody get us the $2,000 check because the first quarter we got is going to be. Come on, Mitch McConnell.
I think those things are. I think these things are like $250. So I mean, they're not cheap, but they're not as expensive as they were whenever I got this one. I think I paid like $350 for it.
I would still need to upgrade my PlayStation because I'm running the Granny Warbucks first gen. So
I don't
I'd be
think you'd have a
curious. I would be curious to see how it plays on the PlayStation 5. That's not a test that we've done yet. So I will have to look into that on top of everything else, but I don't know. So
I've done my Xbox. I'd have to upgrade my Xbox at least.
let me go ahead and give a PSA announcement. When we launch our digital and printed magazine, That Nerd Show Weekly, and we start looking for sponsors, we're looking for some extra special sponsors so we can get some really cool gadgets and do fly our X-wings and TIE fighters in VR.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
if some of
I'm
you
not
out there would
above,
like to help us,
man, I'm not above wearing ad T-shirts and doing little quick blurbs as long as
I
you're
will
not
Not
wear
at
like
your
all.
product
making me
placement
talk about
T-shirt.
hemorrhoids and shit.
You
I
go
don't
to
give
some
a
money to
fuck.
get this. Just saying.
We're all about shameless promotion. We're all about shameless promotion.
Spaceballs, the toilet paper.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
if you want me to promote sausages, I'd be all about it. I'd be like, hey, Chuck Schwartz sausages. I'm a Jew and even I like them. Ding.
By the way, I almost texted this to you yesterday before we get to our game of the year and announcement. Scott, this is what I'm going to need from you in 2021. Anytime that you're not available on Saturday because it's the Sabbath, this is your code word. I don't roll on Shabbos.
I don't roll on Shabbos.
So you got to say.
Oh, I'll say it. I don't roll on Shabbos. I like that. And I respect the fact that you went to look up and actually realized what the word for Shabbat is. You were like, you learned Shabbos. That's great. Thank you.
Well, I was just quoting the Big Lebowski, but sure.
And it worked.
Oh, Jesus. Take the compliment, Marcus. Just learn to take the
I'm
compliment.
kidding. I knew. Hey, I have a religion and philosophy degree. I know what it means.
I was about to say,
Anyway.
and I do kind of already look like the dude, so
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's like I don't roll on Shabbos.
I don't roll on Shabbos. All right, I'll do it.
But anyway,
you my arm.
yeah, Star Wars Squadrons was just phenomenal. This was one of the games that we really did have a lot of fun playing. Beth, what was your take on this game? Now, I mean, it's okay to be a fangirl here and be like,
I really enjoyed it. I definitely dislike the advantage to the PC players, but I mean, is that not every game that's cross-platform? So,
Yeah.
these guys are dicks.
but yeah, it is super fun when you get into like a good round and it's pretty even, and then sometimes you win, and then it's not so fun when you get into it and then you die 17 times within 3 seconds of spawning in a row. So
I think my proudest moment in the game is when my deaths and my kills were even. I'm like, yes.
Yes.
I remember the first time we played, I was like, all right, everybody on my wing, where's Marcus? And he's like, ah! And I'm like, no, you're going to regret that. And
I got a little overexcited.
Later,
Let's
he
go
had
get him.
tone, and he regretted it.
Yes, I did. I died like 70 times. Like, okay, you got a new strategy. You don't go just charging in trying to kill everybody. Those PC players.
That don't work.
That's usually a dead
enjoy
giveaway. Where's
playing
Marcus?
as the
God damn it.
Empire
There he went.
and Squadrons more than I do the Rebels, though.
No,
Those TIE fighters are fun.
yeah, the TIE fighters are actually a better ship in the game. We do really admit. But anyway, It is number 2 on our list. Not only did we have a lot of fun playing with it, playing this game, but at the same time, our love for Star Wars games when they get them right pushes it up a few notches. The way that we voted. And again, I think I do want to at least give EA some compliments that they have gotten better since 2015 about their Star Wars games. They're really trying.
Well,
I'm not saying you should keep
That's
the license.
because of a lawsuit. So
Yeah.
several fucking injunctions. So yeah. Don't thank them too fucking much.
Well, it's like you're at least listening, because some companies are like, fuck it, we don't really care about the fans. So, actually, I want to apply that meme. There's that meme that goes around quoting J.J. Abrams about the sequel trilogy. You know, we're trying to make a new movie. We can't always appease the older fans by bringing in new fans. And then right below it's Jon Favreau, hold my beer. And I kind of think that's EA talking about, look, we can't please every gamer out there when it comes to Star Wars. Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, we're setting our beer down. We're taking this over too.
Mm-hmm.
Hold my beer and my action figure. I got to prove a point.
All right.
Adopt a collectible model.
Star Wars Squadrons is our multiplayer of the year, but we also wanted to add one quick thing to that category before we announce our our true game, our number 1 game of 2020. This was the game that came out this year, so it became multiplayer of the year. But we also had a personal choice of just games that we absolutely loved. And the reason I included this in our email is I wanted to just briefly talk about it. I know that we all kind of agreed. But like for me, the funnest multiplayer that I've played all year is Secret Neighbor. Was the best game that was discovered thanks to our squad leader, and we have had so much fun playing it. Whether it be for a show or just getting together one night. But my personal choice, honorable mention, whatever you want to call it, has been Secret Neighbor. Scott, how do you feel about a personal choice when it comes to a multiplayer? What has that been for you this year? Has it been our actual multiplayer or something else that we've done?
It actually has been an actual multiplayer. For me this year, I have actually gotten the most kicks out of doing, well, I actually can't say my most play of the year yet because we haven't mentioned our game of the year yet. So.
Oh, okay. I know where you're
They're
going.
in tandem, so I'm gonna hold my action.
Okay, Chad, how about you?
Got to go with another Star Wars game that's even older, but when you go hunt Ewoks and you become the hunter or the hunted,
That's pretty fun. That's pretty.
I can't. I just can't. I have never in a million years would have imagined that us grown-ass men, and a grown woman included as well, would be huddled in the corner, shivering, terrified of cannibalistic teddy bears with spears. I never thought that could happen.
With pointy sticks, and you're like, ah! It's killing me with a rock, but it's so fucking cute.
I know.
Never has a 200-yard sprint after a shuttle passing over your head felt like it took so long. There it is. There it is. There it is. Ah!
You've never been so excited in your entire life to see a fucking red flare fucking blow free.
I will admit that has been one of the best modes in a Star Wars game. So whoever came up with that concept, we salute you.
Bravo.
Yeah. Beth, how about you? As a personal choice, what has been your favorite multiplayer game?
I really enjoyed Secret Neighbor a lot as well. Just because I like all games where there's a predator and prey. I really enjoy being the neighbor.
She likes being the killer.
But it's one of those games where, like, even though the neighbor has like every single advantage, it still can be fun to be one of the kids.
True.
So
yeah,
it's good all around. You have a good time either way.
I agree. Again, we've never really had a bad moment, and it's always better when you play with more people because you can play up to 6. And yes, if you get to be the neighbor, because it's one of those games that you don't know who the neighbor is. You don't figure it out at the at the very beginning, or have to pick someone to be the bad guy. It's just random, and you distrust everybody. You're supposed to be working together as kids, and you're like, but can you really?
Yeah, no, because you turn around the corner and it's like you look at who the fuck are you? Who are you? Who are you? Identify your fucking self. You better turn that flashlight off and identify your fucking self.
Well, my favorite part of the game is when you're trying to help each other out. You're trying to get a key, or if you're unlocking the basement door. Wait, did that box just move? Why is that box moving?
That's one of my favorite things to do, because I remember the times that we were doing that, and it was during the Halloween time, and so there's the pumpkins all around the mat. And I just followed you guys for like seriously, it had to have been for like 20 minutes as a fucking pumpkin. Just watching you and hunting you like weird predator prey. And then when one of you would stray away, I was like, no! And then it's like
My favorite capture was when because as my kid, I was like the little engineer dude or whatever, and I was like fake crow, and then I just hid myself as a bag of flour in the room and waited for Marcus to show up.
I forgot about that.
and it's like,
Okay,
oh,
you know what? You know what? I'll
taken
concede.
the bait.
I'll concede. Ewok Hunt was more fun as general multiplayer, but multiplayer with you guys specifically, Secret Neighbor was kind of unmatched. Yeah, it's kind of unmatched.
Well,
Yeah,
I've tried to
Our
introduce
little bunch of friends. Yeah, that was pretty much next level.
I've tried to
I agree.
introduce so many people to Secret Neighbor. Like, we've been trying to get our writer Alex, who's had Xbox problems this year, and I think we finally figured out that he needed to do power cord. But it's like anybody that likes fun little horror survival games, it's not going to be too scary, but it's just intense.
Yeah.
Secret Neighbor is it. And the fact that it doesn't even cost that much if you actually buy the game. I think it's about $20. And I'm like, that's
$20 some bucks if you don't have Game Pass or something like that.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass.
I mean, that's where we all have it. But at the same time, if you were to buy it, because it is on PlayStation as well, just like that game should probably be more money for the amount of fun that you're going to have with it. So I'm sad that we didn't discover it last year and get to talk about it, but we discovered it this year. It was one of those perfect games to play with your friends during a pandemic. Yeah. And we're definitely going to get back more into it. Oh, also, they have the holiday thing.
I want to get in with you guys and do it here soon, like real soon.
I know. Because of, but anyway, hold on one second.
What was he doing? Code.
I think there are props involved.
Yes. I had to get props. All right. There can only be one game of the year. There is no tie. And we didn't have that huge of a contentious debate this year as we've had in years past, but we definitely talked about this game a lot. And yes, as I said before at the beginning of the show, we are very different than the Game Awards and other outlets, or as I like to call it, we get it right, and some of them are just idiots. But sorry, Game Awards. I really don't know who votes on some of this stuff. I got to question them. Is it like sports writers voting on Hall of Fame players or whatever? Where I don't know, it's just a popularity contest.
That's all it is, because how they figure it is, especially for like game of the year for like PlayStation anything, they just pose the question in a fucking forum, and the most people that vote get the win. So it's not really anything.
If you don't know about games, yeah, and I've done contests like that where you can just keep voting, and you can keep voting more than once. And I'm like, well, I've seen this tactic in Chicago politics. That doesn't mean the best. But anyway,
that's why I call it a recount fucking for PlayStation's Game of the Year. I think that's horse shit. Because no.
Yeah. Now, we're not saying that PlayStation, their exclusive games don't end up, a good majority of them have ended up being Game of the Year, because they do make the best exclusive games. But, it's just, It shouldn't be a popularity contest. Anyway. All right, finally, our game of the year here at That Nerd Show, the one that we loved the most, that was the most highly praised from every aspect of games, that from story to gameplay to not really any bugs when it got released, for all the love and care that they put into making a game. It is Ghost of Tsushima. And for everybody that, looks at us that thinks that we're crazy, that it should have been The Last of Us Part 2, no, you can go listen to our editorials that we did last week regarding that and why we disagree. The other thing to keep in mind is when it comes to a new original game and new content, we always pick a new game over a sequel. Okay, if that new game is more worthy than the sequel. Sequels can be good games, and we've done that. Dishonored 2 won Game of the Year here at That Nerd Show one year. Also, we picked it that year because we weren't going to be typical fanboys and like, Overwatch was the greatest game of the year when everybody else picked it, because we looked at it from every aspect. But Ghost of Tsushima, it had everything that we want, a great RPG. It finally went to the Far East, and it was a Seven Samurai type story. It's the great storytelling that you would see with Kurosawa. There was just no better game that we truly enjoyed, and it was one of those that just fell under the radar for us, But
and I want to say huge shout out to the fans of Ghost of Tsushima, because during like recently, one of the torii gates on the island was damaged during like a typhoon or something like that, and the monk who was running the shrine was afraid he wasn't going to be able to fix it, and so they put up like a GoFundMe, and it was fans of the game literally raised like 3 times the goal amount of just with donations alone to save and repair the torii gate.
Yeah,
like
So
so, and
That's
I think
amazing.
they wanted like $40,000, and they ended up like raising them like $180,000.
Wow.
And that was just fans just going, I love this game. I'm gonna donate my own fucking money to help this island I've never fucking been to.
right.
That's incredible.
Because you talked about it in a game, and it was part of this great story. Yeah, I didn't actually know about that. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, no,
I
and
didn't either.
it's we had to my partner Anna is the one that discovered it. She spends a little bit more time reading articles and stuff like that, and she shared it with me. So I think that's great. And honestly, it's like, you don't see Ghost of Tsushima fans going out and fucking threatening actors and actresses with their fucking lives. No, they're going out and doing good things like restoring ancient fucking temples and helping people internationally and being fucking kind.
Well, the other thing too is, and we did talk about it in our editorial, where the time period may be a little off for a video game, for accuracy, and it doesn't really matter. But
no, in that case, no, it doesn't, because I mean, it's you have to tell the story, and
Right.
if you wanted to tell a story of that magnitude within the proper context like that, the game would look so automatically sepia tone. You would feel like you were playing, it on Kurosawa mode, because there just wasn't that identification of what was Japan at the time.
Right. But my point is, the amount of people that are starting to get more and more interested in those time periods to understand the history. It's sad that it takes pop culture to really do that, but if it gets you interested in understanding, and I remember more and more people studying and taking and wanting to know more about feudal Japan and the Bushido Code and all that when the movie The Last Samurai came out with Tom Cruise. I mean, again, kind of terrible reason to want to, but at the same time, if it gets you into it and you understand the care, the love and care they take with the lore, which is exactly what they did with this game from a storytelling standpoint, then by all means, it's doing its job. And I think that's another reason that we love this game so much, is you build this great lore into it. And I'm sorry, But The Last of Us, both games don't have that, and that doesn't make them.
Well, I was going to say, I also argue the fact that this game helps bridge a cultural gap between understanding fundamentally like what it is to be a young person living in America and a young person living in Japan. I mean, like this helps kind of people understand that, hey, this was actually a very real way of thinking at a time. And, that did influence Japan today. And so it helps make us look back and think of, oh, you know what? These guys are not dicks. They're cool. I like them.
Right. Well, and the fact too that you get a game where it's not just so linear that once you finish the story, that is what it is. Your choices help determine. You will have to choose how you want the ending to be for this game. And then you can choose a different path when you go back and play it, because it very much has fantastic replay value. There's just everything that we love about gaming, from gameplay, combat, storytelling. It embodied it more than anything else, and really a lot of the games that we've played over the last decade. And that's what good games should be. Not rating it on a forum, not it looks cool or anything like that. Not trying to throw in some political agenda. Enjoying a story for what it is with great, gameplay, and having it being visually stunning. Having graphics to match everything.
And the multiplayer that they brought out for fucking free, and didn't charge you for or anything else like that, is, like I said, it's my multiplayer of the year, because it's not just we're going to go in and hack and slash like For Honor. You're not fighting against other people. You're having to work together as a team. You're having to coordinate. You're having to, and that's just with like the multiplayer storyline. And then they give you that survival mode aspect of it, of like fending off that wave after wave of dead Mongols. But at the same time, you're going, oh, there's still other things I have to do that aren't huge, but they're still semi-crucial. And being able to do that with your friends and experiencing that with your friends. I mean, dude, you are right there living a Kurosawa film with your friends. What is there to complain about?
Yeah. So, and I know, Beth, you didn't get a chance to play this game because it was a PlayStation exclusive. But if you ever move over to PlayStation, it's definitely a
watch a little bit of my
gameplay.
gameplay.
If I could afford one, I would own one.
Well, I know. I believe me. But I will also say too, having gone back to play this on the PlayStation 5, I mean the enhanced graphics made it even more beautiful. So for anybody that hasn't truly played this game yet, and I've talked to so many young gamers who've gotten a PlayStation 5 and they got the Miles Morales game, and I'm like, look, this is not that might be fun, but this is the game you need to be playing. Okay, storytelling, combat, gameplay, everything that we love about games, it's right here. Okay, and next to having a lightsaber and cutting people's heads off, samurai sword, it doesn't get any better. So, kind of wish I had that in an Assassin's Creed game instead of a Viking battle axe.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Just making a few helpful suggestions there, Ubisoft.
I've been waiting for Assassin's Creed Dynasty for years now. Make it happen. The one thing I've noticed, though, that no one's really kind of mentioned, maybe you did a little bit, Marcus, but the thing that really got me, the thing that sucked me in and kept me engaged to where I just couldn't look away, was the environment / atmosphere. Yeah, I've never felt so relaxed removing somebody's head from their body.
Just a flick of the wrist.
Just a gentle flick of the wrist as the blood droplets scatter across the snow, or splatter on cherry blossom petals as they drift by.
We should talk about the score. The score is amazing.
Oh my God!
It's very much all these Eastern themes to it. You talk about feeling relaxed. It's like it's like I have meditation music as I chop your
No,
head
I'll
off.
tell you what.
Yeah.
When I went back in Game Plus mode and I replayed it, and I played that final mission where you're fighting the Khan, I put my headphones on so that way I could do it. And by the time I got through that fight, my heart was in my throat
Yeah.
because I was just flowing the whole way, and I could feel it. And it was great. And like that's what that multiplayer gives you too. When you get a good team together and you're fighting those waves and you're controlling your points in the survival missions, by the end of it, that last person falls and you're just sitting there going, okay, hold on. Woo! Okay. Shit, there's
Look,
more? Oh, God, okay.
I will admit, fending off waves of
You just got to yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, what can I say? We could talk about this game for hours on end. And if you really want to know more, go listen to our editorial that we did last week, making our case for this game being Game of the Year. But the story is so good that I want this as a film. In fact, I mean, I could literally just sit down and watch all the cutscenes together as a film. The developers of this game, you did a phenomenal job. I mean, about damn near perfect. And if you want to keep making more games in these time periods, yes, please go ahead and do it.
Please do.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that
Cyberpunk
played it in
does-
Japanese? Am I the only one that played it in the Japanese language?
I have not.
I haven't yet. That's one of the things I'm going to go back and do later on is I'm going to put it in Kurosawa mode, and I'm going to play it in Japanese, and I'm going to play it on the hardest fucking possible setting I can.
I didn't put it in Kurosawa mode. I just put it in Japanese with subtitles because I didn't do the filter with Kurosawa because I wanted to see the vibrant color of everything. But
Right.
I wanted to get it in the Japanese dialect. And God, that so just sucks you in. There were so many emotional crescendos in this game, and it just took you on a journey that I think in the year that we've had, it's a journey I think we all really needed to take.
Oh, God, yes. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah. Do not disagree. May not have been the most popular game, but it is absolutely the best game of
The
20.
best game, yeah. I'm sorry, I can't argue with you.
Yeah.
And
nothing
that's the thing,
against
popularity
people
isn't fucking everything. You know, popularity is not everything.
No,
You know.
and nothing against The Last of Us being a video part 2, being a good game for what it is. But to me, if you're trying to compare that storytelling level of gameplay to this, then I don't think you play video games.
No,
That's just me.
Last of Us 2 was just another example of been there, done that. I've
Right.
never done Ghost of Tsushima. I've
That's
never
how
done anything.
That's how I felt about Horizon Zero Dawn in 2017. About just unique, how fun it was, wanting more versus playing whatever sequel to the Legend of Zelda series. Okay,
Yeah.
You should want that kind of new game feel where you have been wowed, like I've never seen this, and I don't know if I'll ever see this again. Okay,
Right.
Now, very rarely can a sequel top the original game. Obviously, Uncharted 2 did. Rise of Tomb Raider is better than the first Tomb Raider game. And if they're able to continue with that kind of trend, oh my God, I don't even know what you're going to be able to do if you make a sequel or a different game in this series. But
I mean, honestly, anything that they wanted to do in that era, if they wanted to continue on, they easily could. Because, that time period alone, within that like 3,000 or 4,000 year pitch, just in Japanese history alone, is
rich. It's just rich with material.
It's rich with anything conflict-wise. Now, they could even go, fuck this, we want to go a better direction. We want to turn around and talk about, Koreans or the Chinese and the Mongols or whatever else like that. Fuck, give me a perspective from the Mongols, man. I love the Mongolians. They're all like fucking being badass right now and fucking helping the world right now. Fuck yeah, Mongolians.
And their barbecue rocks.
It does rock. And their fucking dudes are badasses with their fucking amazing wrestling and throat singing, and their women are hot.
See,
tiny little ponies.
Gaming companies, this is why you should listen to people like us. We know what we know what the fans want.
Because we know.
Yeah.
Know.
Exactly.
Barbecue
Well,
rod.
everybody, we want to thank you for watching our live Game of the Year show for 2020. And listening to what we felt like are the top 10 games of 2020 as voted on by the staff of That Nerd Show. Every one of these games are ones that you should have and should have tried this past year. And if you didn't get a chance to, well, look for a deal and try them as we start out 2021. Because, this is the time of year we don't really get very many, game releases. And we don't know what we're going to be getting, going into another year, you're trying to get out of everything that happened last year. So,
Yeah.
but Ghost of Tsushima, if you have a PlayStation and you don't have this game, well, we question your gamer status. That's all. That's
You
all.
got your stimulus check. You got your and it's on sale. If I'm not mistaken, I keep seeing ads where Ghost of Tsushima
it's
is being
$30
featured as
now.
an on-sale
It's
game.
It's $30. You have no excuse.
Oh, then you have no excuse. You
I was
have no
about to
reason.
say, if you're not sharing in this year delight, you need to give Sucker Punch as much as your money as you can because they did it wonderful.
Yes,
They
they
really
did.
Yes, they did.
So congratulations to Sucker Punch. We have chosen Ghost of Tsushima as our Game of the Year at That Nerd Show, and we look forward to seeing what you do next. So.
Marcus, write a letter to Sucker Punch. Maybe they'll fucking sponsor us.
I mean, we are giving you some shameless promotion here.
No, seriously, write a fucking letter as the editor.
I will
to
proudly
fucking
wear your T-shirt.
I would wear their T-shirt. I would wear a fucking
and
beanie.
Beth can't even play your game because she doesn't have a PlayStation 4. So make her play your game. It's like we're starting our own crowdfunding campaign here.
God,
she did. She watched me play it, and even when she watched me play it, it was just one of my old Qi TV that died.
Yeah, and that's why it hurts so much that I can't.
Yeah. Look more sick. Like this is your Make-A-Wish. I wish I could play this game.
I will remember you. What's that?
Where's Sarah McLachlan?
Oh, okay, there we go. All right.
Arms of the angel.
In the arms of an angel.
Anything we can do to help everybody. All right. We have an exciting year for 2021. We're looking forward to reviewing more games and having more great conversations. Quick announcement if you're watching the show, we are starting a magazine, That Nerd Show Weekly. And Scott will be having his own column, Message from the Squad Leader, with tips and
tips, and I will actually take any questions. And like if gamers have questions, need advice, anything else like that, I'm here for you.
Yeah,
it's like
we'll
asking your squad leader.
So thank you for sticking with us in 2020. We look forward to a great year in 2021. And the only thing left that we can say is we're out of here, and it's time for you to play some games. All right. Say goodbye, everybody.
Hit the power
Goodbye,
button.
everybody.